Have you ever sat through a presentation and, like, 5 minutes later, you can't remember the main point? Or you read a whole article and the key takeaway just vanishes? It is so frustrating. Well, today we are diving into why that happens and, more importantly, how to make any idea you share completely unforgettable.
I mean, it happens to all of us, right? You get instructions, you sit through a lecture, and then poof, the really important stuff is just gone. It's so easy to think, ugh, I must have a bad memory. But what if that's not the problem at all? What if it has nothing to do with your brain? And that's the big secret right there. Our brains are actually amazing at remembering things. The real problem is that most information is delivered in a totally forgettable way. But here's the good news. That's something we can actually fix. So how do we fix it? Well, we have to start thinking of ourselves as architects of communication. It's all about intentionally designing the way we share information so that the most important parts really pop, guiding everyone's attention exactly where it needs to be. Think about it like a spotlight on a stage, right? The lighting person doesn't just blast the whole set with the same boring light. No way. They put the brightest spotlight right on the star of the show, so you know exactly where to look. We can do that same exact thing with our ideas.
And this isn't just some random idea. There are actual proven strategies we can use to send up a flare and tell our audience, hey, pay attention. This part right here, this is the thing you really need to remember. So let's get into what those strategies are.
Okay, our first set of tools is all about performance. And don't worry, you don't have to be a professional actor. These are really simple but incredibly powerful techniques that you can start using literally today to make sure your key points don't just get heard, they really land. First up is a classic, repetition. It's so simple. When you repeat something, you are sending a direct signal to the brain that says, hey, listen up, this piece of info is important. It is one of the easiest and most effective ways to highlight a core idea. See what I mean? Repeating a key phrase just makes it way more likely to stick around in someone's head. The source material makes a huge point of this, saying it not only flags what's critical, but it seriously helps people remember it later. Of course, it is never just what you say, it's always how you say it. You know what I'm talking about. Picture a speaker whose voice is full of life. Their pitch goes up and down, they use their hands to make a point, they're making eye contact. Now picture the opposite. Someone just droning on in a monotone, fidgeting, slouching. One of them grabs your attention, and the other one practically begs you to check your phone. And you know, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing at all. When you share a really surprising fact or a complex idea, don't just barrel ahead to the next thing, just pause. Let it sink in. That little bit of silence creates anticipation, and it gives your audience a second to actually process what you just said. It's a huge nonverbal signal that says, hey, that mattered. But look, powerful communication is more than just a good performance. To create those moments that people remember for years, we have to engage more than just their ears. We have to start crafting a full-on experience that taps into their senses. Just how powerful is this? Get a load of this number. The research shows that when you present important information in a really visual or dramatic way, students can remember up to 77% of it a whole year later. That is a massive leap in retention. It just proves that turning information into an experience is absolutely worth it. So, how do we build these experiences? Well, visuals are your secret weapon. A simple storyboard can make a confusing process suddenly crystal clear. A single powerful picture can become a mental anchor for a big idea. And a good graphic organizer? It can instantly show how a bunch of different concepts connect to each other. These are not just decorations on a slide. They are serious memory tools. And maybe the most powerful tool of all is a good story. Our brains are literally wired for narrative. Think about it. You could explain the water cycle with a dry list of facts about evaporation, condensation, precipitation, blah, blah, blah. Or you could tell the story of a single drop of water on its epic journey from a river up to a cloud and all the way back down again. Which one do you think you're going to remember tomorrow? Exactly. Stories make things personal and so much easier to grasp. All right, finally, none of these techniques are going to work if you don't have a solid foundation. The most unforgettable communication is never just winged. It's built on a clear blueprint. This structure is what gets your audience ready to receive, organize, and ultimately hold on to the information you're sharing. It often starts with how you frame the whole topic. A super vague question, like, how do you do this, is going to get you a vague, all over the place answer. But a sharp, narrow question, like, describe the steps, That forces the brain to lock on to the most critical parts. It signals right away what type of information really matters here. You gotta remember, the human brain isn't like an empty filing cabinet where you just stuff new files. It's more like a giant web. So when you introduce a new idea, the very first thing you should do is hook it into something your audience already gets. That gives them a mental anchor to hang the new info on, which makes it way, way more likely to stick. A really brilliant way to get your audience ready is using what the source material calls an advance organizer. Just think of it like a movie trailer for your content. It's a simple little activity. You have people draw a picture of the concept, write a quick description, list some key terms, all before you even start the main lesson. It totally primes their brains for what's about to come and shows them exactly what to be on the lookout for.
So we've covered performance, we've covered sensory experiences, and we've covered having a structural blueprint. But the real key isn't just to think of these as a random list of tricks. The real magic happens when you start weaving them all together. And this right here is the ultimate goal. It's not just about repeating one phrase or using one nice picture. It's about strategically combining all these techniques to create these super focused, really powerful moments of learning. The source calls them critical input experiences. These are the moments that don't just inform people, they can actually transform how they think. So I'm going to leave you with this thought. Whether you're a teacher, a manager, a parent, or just somebody with a great idea you want to share, you have the tools now. It's not about talking louder. It's about communicating with intention. So the next time you have something really important to say, how are you going to make it unforgettable?